I got off a 14-hour flight to surprise my husband early. I brought him gifts, walked in with a smile, and heard moaning upstairs. I stood frozen, holding a bag of duty-free chocolate. Then I heard her voice. She's probably still in customs. I sat on the couch, waited for them to come down, and said, "Hope you enjoyed the layover." He looked like he saw a ghost. I filed for divorce that night. But first, I sent the hotel bill from their weekend getaway to his mother. She called me crying. I just said, "Ask your son why he thought I'd never find out." I've been sitting here for hours trying to figure out how to start this. Maybe the truth is the only way. My name's Dana. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I'm 38. I was married to Brian for 6 years. Or at least, I thought I was married to Brian. Turns out, I was married to a man who didn't even flinch when he threw away everything we built. Last November, I had to fly to London for work. It wasn't my first big trip. I'm a project manager for a tech company. Sometimes, travel is part of the job. Brian always said he was proud of me. Said he liked having a strong woman as a wife. I believed him. This trip was supposed to be 2 weeks. I missed him. I missed home. I missed sleeping in my own bed. So I managed to change my ticket and come back a day early. It wasn't cheap, but I didn't care. I figured the look on his face when he saw me would be worth it. At the airport, I went out of my way to grab him a bag of those fancy chocolates he loved. They weren't cheap either. It's stupid now, but back then I just wanted to see him smile. The flight was brutal. 14 hours, packed tight, crying babies, screaming toddlers, turbulence that made you wonder if you were going to make it at all. By the time I landed, I was dead tired. I looked a mess, greasy hair, old hoodie, sweatpants, bags under my eyes. Still, I was excited. I even smiled all the way through customs. When I pulled into our driveway, the house looked normal. One light was on upstairs. I remember grabbing my bags, balancing the chocolates awkwardly on top, and unlocking the door. Quietly, because I wanted it to be a real surprise. I stepped into the living room. It smelled like home. A candle was burning somewhere upstairs. Vanilla, I think. I smiled. He's waiting for me. Then I heard it. Soft at first. A sound I couldn't place. Then it got louder. Moaning. Rhythmic. Intimate. At first, I froze because my brain couldn't catch up with what my ears were hearing. I literally stood there, holding the chocolates, trying to figure out if I was dreaming. Then, clear as day, I heard her voice. She's probably still stuck in customs. Laughter followed. Their laughter. It was like the ground dropped out from under me. I didn't move. I didn't scream. I didn't drop the chocolates. I just quietly walked over to the couch, sat down, and stared at the wall. Waiting. I could hear them upstairs, moving around. Whispers. Giggles. I sat perfectly still, heart pounding so hard I thought it might explode out of my chest. Maybe 15 minutes later, I heard them coming downstairs. Footsteps. Light at first. Then heavier when they got to the bottom. I didn't look up right away. I heard them stop. Silence. I slowly lifted my head. Brian stood there in boxers, face pale like he'd seen a ghost. Behind him was a woman, wrapped in one of my bath towels. She wasn't even pretty. That was the part that hit me hardest at that moment. She wasn't beautiful. She wasn't special. She was just available. Brian's mouth opened and closed like a fish. No words. I stood up, walked over to them, and said, calm as could be, "Hope you enjoyed the layover." I didn't wait for him to respond. I didn't want to hear it. I walked past them, grabbed my keys from the hook by the door, and left the suitcases sitting there. I drove to the nearest motel I could find and checked in for the night. I sat on the bed, still in my travel clothes, and filed for divorce right there on my phone. It wasn't even a question. It was over. But even sitting in that cold motel room, something gnawed at me. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the hotel charge that showed up 2 weeks ago on our shared credit card. I had asked him about it at the time. He said it was a work conference. That's why I didn't think twice. Now it made sense. He wasn't at a conference. He was with her. It made my blood boil. I pulled up the hotel bill on my email. I still had it. A $600 romantic weekend getaway package at a resort about an hour away from Columbus. Flowers in the room. Champagne. Couples massage. Everything spelled out clearly on the itemized receipt. He paid for all of that with our shared account. It made me sick. I thought about calling his mom, but then I had a better idea. His mom and I had always been close. She once told me I was the daughter she never had. I knew that finding out about this would break her. So I printed out the hotel bill, highlighted the romantic package, and mailed it to her. No note. No explanation. Just the truth, plain and simple. 2 days later, my phone rang. It was her. She was crying so hard, I could barely understand her. Dana, why would he do this? Why didn't he tell me? You're the best thing that ever happened to him. I didn't cry. I didn't comfort her. I wasn't her daughter anymore. I just said, ask your son why he thought I'd never find out. Then I hung up. He tried to reach out after that. Texts, calls, emails begging for forgiveness. I didn't answer a single one. I moved out within the month. Signed the papers. Took only what was fair. Last I heard, he's still with her, but their life isn't some fairy tale. They lost more than they gained. And me? I rebuilt my life from scratch. Without liars. Without cheats. Because sometimes the best revenge is just walking away while they drown in the mess they made. I wish I could tell you that after I walked away, that was it. But life isn't that clean. Especially not when you're dealing with a coward like Brian. About a week after I left, he showed up at my work. I was coming back from lunch, minding my own business, when I saw him standing there by the front doors, holding flowers like some bad movie cliché. My heart raced, not from love, from rage. I stopped dead on the sidewalk. He saw me and smiled, like we were about to have some sweet reunion. Dana, please. Just talk to me. I didn't say a word. I walked right past him, into the building. He followed me to the elevator. I hit the button. He kept talking. It was a mistake. She doesn't mean anything. I didn't know what I was doing without you. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside. Before they closed, I looked him dead in the eye and said, neither of you matter anymore. Click. Doors closed. I thought that would be the end. It wasn't. That night, I got home to find my porch covered in crap. Flowers, cards, even a stuffed bear like we were teenagers. It would have been funny if it wasn't so sad. I called a junk removal service and paid them to haul it all away. I didn't even touch the stuff. Didn't even open a single card. After that, Brian started reaching out to my family. He called my sister, messaged my brother, even tried to have my mother call me on his behalf. That's when I realized Brian wasn't trying to apologize. He was trying to save face. He didn't want people to know what he really was. The final straw? A week later, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. It wasn't from Brian. It was from her, the woman he cheated with. In the letter, she apologized. Said she didn't know he was married. Claimed Brian told her we were separated and almost divorced already. Said if she had known the truth, she never would have gone near him. I didn't know if I believed her or not. Honestly, it didn't matter. The damage was done. But tucked inside the envelope was something that caught my eye. Screenshots. Text messages. From Brian to her. They weren't new. They went back months. Month after month of him lying, planning weekends together, bad-mouthing me behind my back. Telling her he was trapped in a loveless marriage while I was across the ocean working my ass off to pay for the life we had. Reading them made me sick. He hadn't just slipped up once. He had built a life of lies. I realized something then. I had been too soft. Walking away was good. But it wasn't enough. He still had everyone thinking he was trying to fix things. That he was just a flawed man who made a mistake. He didn't deserve that story. He deserved the truth. So I made a decision. That weekend, there was supposed to be a big family party. His cousin's engagement party. Everybody was going to be there. Parents, aunts, uncles, friends. I was still technically family at that point. The divorce wasn't final yet. So I went. I walked in wearing a simple black dress, no makeup, no fancy jewelry. Just me, plain and clear. Brian saw me the second I walked through the door. His face crumpled in panic. I smiled and waved. He rushed over, tried to pull me aside. "Dana, please, this isn't the time." I cut him off. Loud enough for half the room to hear, I said, "Oh, don't worry. I'm just here to congratulate you." Everyone turned. "Congratulate you on your new relationship. I hope she likes romantic getaways and lying to everyone she meets." The room went dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Brian's mother gasped. His father looked like he wanted to punch him. His sister covered her mouth in shock. Brian stammered. I didn't wait for him to recover. I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots she had sent me, and held it up. In case anyone thinks I'm making it up, here's Brian telling his side piece how trapped he felt with me while I was working overseas so he could sit at home on his ass. Nobody spoke. I turned to his mom. "Thanks for loving me like a daughter. I'm sorry your son turned out to be such a disappointment." Then I walked out. I thought I would feel shaky or weak after. I didn't. I felt free. Truly free. After that party, the truth spread fast. Faster than I thought it would. His family turned on him almost overnight. His mom stopped speaking to him. His dad told him not to show up for Thanksgiving. Even his friends backed away quietly. Nobody wanted to be close to a liar who got caught red-handed. But Brian? He didn't take it like a grown man. No. He got angry. He started telling anyone who would listen that I was the problem. That I was cold and neglectful. That I pushed him into the arms of another woman. It was pathetic. It didn't work. People had already seen the proof. There was no saving face after that. Still, he didn't give up. One night about 3 weeks later, I got a call from my boss. Middle of the night. At first, I thought something terrible had happened. Nope. Turns out Brian had sent my boss an anonymous email. Said I was unstable. That I was mentally unfit for international travel. That I had personal issues that could damage the company's reputation. He was trying to get me fired. Luckily, my boss wasn't an idiot. He called me personally to let me know about it and said he had already flagged it as harassment. I sat there listening, stunned. Brian wasn't just a liar. He was a vindictive coward. That was when I knew. He wasn't going to stop until he was forced to. I needed to make it crystal clear there would be consequences. So I hired a lawyer. Not just for the divorce. For a restraining order. We filed it fast. Within 2 weeks, Brian was served papers at his job. Right in the middle of his workday. Right in front of his boss. I didn't have to be there to see it to know how humiliated he must have been. You'd think after that he would finally get the message. You'd think. But some people don't know when they're beaten. 2 months later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. At first, I let it go to voicemail. When I finally listened, my hands shook with anger. It was her again, the woman he cheated with. Only this time, she wasn't apologizing. She was warning me. Apparently, Brian had started feeding her lies now, too. Telling her I was stalking him. That I was crazy. That I was ruining his life for fun. She said he was becoming scary and obsessed. Said she was thinking about filing a restraining order against him, too. The whole thing would have been funny if it wasn't so damn sad. I called my lawyer. We pushed harder. Told the court everything, every message, every fake accusation, every stunt. Brian ended up having to appear in front of a judge. He looked awful, pale, sweaty, muttering to himself. I sat there, dressed neatly, calm as stone, while he squirmed. The judge didn't go easy on him. Not only did the restraining order stay in place, but Brian also got hit with mandatory counseling and a hefty fine for harassment. The last time I saw him was that day in court. He looked at me like he wanted to say something. I didn't even glance back. I walked out of that courthouse feeling lighter than I had in years. But life had one more twist for me. One I didn't see coming. About 6 months after the divorce finalized, I got another call. From his mother. At first, I didn't want to answer. I stared at the phone, wondering what good could come of it. But something told me to pick up. I'm glad I did. Because what she told me, it made everything make sense. When I picked up the phone that day, I braced myself. I expected anger. Or maybe another plea for forgiveness. But Brian's mom didn't sound angry. She sounded broken. "Dana," she said, her voice cracking, "I'm so sorry to call you. I just thought you should know. Brian's in trouble." I didn't say anything, just waited. She told me everything. After the divorce, after the restraining order, after being cut off by his family, Brian's life fell apart fast. He lost his job. Apparently, word got around that he had harassment issues. His company didn't want the liability. Then, he blew through his savings, what little he had left. Worse, the woman he cheated with? She dumped him. Right after she got the restraining order against him, she moved out of state and blocked him everywhere. He was completely alone. Broke. Jobless. No friends. No family that wanted to deal with him. And now he was facing eviction from the little apartment he'd been renting. His mom told me he had come to her house a few nights earlier, drunk and crying. Begging for money. Begging for a place to stay. She said no. She told him flat out that he had made his bed, and now he had to lie in it. She cried when she told me this, but I didn't feel sorry for him. Not one bit. You don't blow up your whole life and expect everyone else to fix it. Still, there was one thing that caught me off guard. Brian's mom told me the real reason Brian had spiraled so hard after I left. It wasn't just the cheating. It wasn't just the divorce. It was me. It was the fact that, when I found out the truth, I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I didn't beg. I just walked away. Cold. Clean. Silent. He couldn't handle it. He thought he would break me. Instead, I erased him from my life like he never mattered. And that drove him crazy. After I hung up with his mom, I sat there for a long time. I thought about all the times I blamed myself for not being enough. Not home enough. Not fun enough. Not whatever he said he needed. But none of that had ever been true. Brian didn't cheat because he was lonely. He cheated because he was weak. Because he was selfish. Because he thought he could get away with it. And when he realized he couldn't, he fell apart. The real revenge wasn't the restraining order. It wasn't the public humiliation. It wasn't even losing his job or his family. The real revenge was me. Me walking away without a second thought. Me refusing to fight for a man who threw me away like trash. Me choosing myself when he thought I would crumble. He destroyed his own life, one lie at a time. All I had to do was let him. I never saw Brian again after that court day. Never spoke to him again. He became just another mistake I survived. Another scar that healed stronger than before. These days, I'm good. Better than good. I have a new job, better pay, better people. I bought a little condo across town. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. Fully mine. Sometimes I still get flashbacks. Sometimes I still get angry. But mostly, I'm proud. Proud that I didn't stay. Proud that I didn't stoop to his level. Because real strength isn't screaming. It's smiling as you walk away and never looking back.